Warning, get ready for a lot of terribly pronounced and butchered names. They're really hard to pronounce. If you don't believe me, try it yourself. Here's an example. Yggdrasil. Come on, let me hear it. Yggdrasil. 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 Not so easy, huh? Now you see what kind of torture it is to be the Dice's voiceover guy. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the Norse mythology. Okay. The Norse mythology is one of the most interesting mythologies. The source of these myths is Prose Edda, which was written by Snorri Sturluson. Prose Edda was written around 1220 AD. Since it was written so late, it is believed that Christianity has had a strong influence on it. It's important to point out, actually, not important at all, but I'm going to point it out anyway. Many people think of Scandinavia and the Vikings when they hear the word Norse. Wrong. The word Norse also includes some of the Germanic tribes from what you today call Germany. We won't spend much time explaining that now, but we will bust some other myths. The Vikings, like you imagine them, did not exist. Yeah, I know that they didn't have horns on their helmets. Who cares? Everybody imagines Vikings as these huge bearded men who sailed in their ships and raided cities. That isn't completely true. There was some raiding here and there, but Vikings, believe it or not, were just regular people, like all of us. Do you know who else you have no idea about? Berserkers. There's a story, and even Wikipedia confirms it, that they would fight naked and go into an insane frenzy. We've just told you that they were normal people. Don't believe in those stories. Something like that doesn't exist. You might as well believe that Sauron and Harry Potter and Spider-Man and the Yugoslavian space program are real. There are a few documents that talk about 2 or 3 blokes who were so amazingly angry that they started howling like wolves, biting their shields and running along towards enemy ranks. But that's just a few people. Berserkers, as a military unit or a tribe or a cult or a group of people or whatever, didn't exist. Oh gosh, when did we get so much off topic? The video hasn't even started yet. Let's continue with the Norse mythology. There are 2 sets of Nordic gods. The older ones, named Vanir, they are associated with earth and fertility. The newer ones, Asir, are associated with the sky. In the beginning, there was Ymir. He was an evil frost giant who created other frost giants from his armpit. Not quite sure why the armpit. What, did he once look under his armpit and was all like, oh look, frost giants? Unrelated to Ymir, Buri created Bor, who married Bestla, a daughter of Boltorn, the frost giant. Bestla gave birth to 3 sons, Vili, Vi, and Odin. The 3 sons hated Ymir and the frost giants. They were just a bunch of haters, so they fought them, won, and moved them to Jotunheim. They killed Ymir and used his flesh to create earth, bones to create the mountains and the rocks, blood for seas and lakes. They used the maggots from Ymir's body to create the dwarves and his skull to create the sky. The sky was held by 4 dwarves, east, west, north, and south. Ymir's eyebrows were used to create all the fertile land and named it Midgard. On Midgard, they used an ash tree log to create a man named Ask and an elm log to create a woman named Embla. Ask and Embla are just like Adam and Eve, parents of the human race. Odin gave them life, Vili gave them intelligence and emotions, and Vi gave them senses. After they were done with that, they formed a family of gods and goddesses named Aesir, which were led by Odin. Midgard and Asgard were connected by Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge. Vanir's, those other gods, were led by Freyr and Freya. Freyr and Freya were a brother and a sister, but also a king and a queen. Their father was Njord. Njord is a god of wealth, fertility, and the sea. The Nords had a saying, as rich as a Njord. Freyr, the father sky god, decided when the sun will shine, when the rain will fall, and how fruitful will the land be. Freya, the mother of earth goddess, was a goddess of love. She wasn't loyal to Freyr, but that doesn't count since he's her brother. Also, she had a carriage which was pulled by cats, because cats are a lot better companions than horses. Just kidding. Dogs are the best. The Vanirs and the Aesirs were at war at first, but they made peace. Some of the Vanir went to live in Asgard, and the others got their own world, Vanaheim. Back in the real world, it is believed that this mythological war happened because there were 2 different religions among the northern tribes, so they eventually merged. There's one forever alone god who doesn't belong to neither of the 2 sets. His name is Heimdall, the white god. He was birthed by the 9 waves, somehow, so he is associated with the sea. They say that he needs less sleep than a bird and sees further than anybody, both during the night as well as during the day. He hears the grass grow, he hears the wool on the sheep grow, and everything that makes a sound, including the people who keep sniffing all the time instead of just blowing their nose. Wouldn't want to be him. He was Loki's archenemy. Odin, the father god of war and Thor's dad, was able to see the future. He gave poetry back to the gods. Odin once hung himself, sacrificing himself to become even more powerful. That's when he lost his eye. After his reincarnation, he only talked in verse, so nobody wanted to hang out with him anymore since he was getting on everybody's nerves with that damn verse. Odin chose his favorite champion fighters and sent Valkyries to bring them to Valhalla. He was married to Frigg, the goddess of clairvoyance who could also see the future. Balder was the most beautiful, the sweetest spoken, the most merciful, and the most intelligent of all the gods. He makes a judgment, it can never be altered again. Loki, who we've already mentioned when we were talking about Heimdall, isn't really well explained. We're not sure if he's a giant or a god. We don't even know whether he's good or evil. He might be a son of two giants or Odin's foster brother. I don't know. All we know is that he is a trickster and a thief, but also that he sometimes used to help the Aesir. Out of all of his children, the most interesting ones are Jormungand, a world serpent, Hel, goddess of the underworld, and Fenrir, the wolf. When we see what sort of children he had, we can conclude that he wasn't a picky person when it came to choosing partners. Once Loki tricked Odin's blind son, Hoder, into killing Balder, who was also Odin's son. Hermod was sent to take Balder back from the underworld, aka Niflheim, which was ran by Loki's daughter, Hel. Hermod has failed to recover Balder because of Loki's tricks. Thor, son of Odin and the Earth, god of lightning and farmers, was an exceptional fighter. He was huge and had a big red beard, but he wasn't really the smartest guy. He defended the gods from the giants. He had two sons named Manji and Bodhi. More about them later. Grid was a giantess. He had a child with Odin named Vidar. His importance will grow later. The children of Odin and Frigg were Ul, god of snowshoes, hunting, bow, and shield, Bragi, the god of poetry, Hermod the Bold, the already mentioned Balder, and also already mentioned blind Hoder, Vali, and Tyr, the god of war and justice. We're not sure if Tyr is Odin's son since it's hard to determine in Norse mythology and we just don't really care enough to do some proper research. The goddesses were Gaifan, the goddess of plowing and fertility, Ir, the goddess of healing, Sjofrun and Lofn, the goddesses of love. Var was a goddess of marriage oath. She punishes those who cheat and no secret can be kept from her. Sin was the goddess of justice. Snotra, the goddess of wisdom and self-discipline as well as head colds. Saga was the goddess of poetry and she used to go drinking with Odin. And now, story time. I can guarantee you that this is an interesting story because on the website NorseMythology.org, it was named Thor the Transvestite. This one time, Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, which by the way means lightning, was missing. Thor sent Loki to find it and find it he did. Thrym the giant has stolen the hammer and said that he won't return it unless Freya agrees to marry him. Freya, of course, did not want to marry him. Hey, I've stolen your hammer, and now you have to marry me. Not a good pickup line. Trust me on that one. The other gods talked Thor into putting on a wedding dress and pretending to be Freya. I know, right? Pure comedy right there. That's what humor's all about. Thor and Loki went to Jotunheim to Thrym's place, where Thrym has organized a wedding feast. Loki was Thor's bridesmaid. Thor, aka Freya, ate an entire ox and a lot more food. Thrym was surprised how a girl could eat so much. Loki said that the bride is so excited that she hasn't eaten for 8 days. Thrym then had a peek under the veil and saw Thor's Freya's glowing red eyes. Loki said that the bride is so excited that she hasn't slept for 7 days. Thrym gave the hammer Mjolnir to Freya as a wedding gift, and then Thor killed every single giant at the wedding. The end. All right, that's enough about gods. So the other day, I still have to talk about the Norse mythology. Okay, let's talk about the realms. There's 9 of them in the Norse mythology. Midgard, Asgard, Niflheim, Muspelheim, Helheim, Alfheim, Vanaheim, Jotunheim, and Svartalheim. All 9 realms are in the branches and the roots of a world tree named Yggdrasil. Niflheim, the mist world, is the darkest and the coldest region and first of the 9 worlds. A huge dragon named Nidhugg lives in it and guards the oldest of the 3 wells, Hildesmere. It is said that all the cold rivers start in that well. He is the source of all life and a place where all that's living will once return. Muspelheim, the land of fire, is a very hot place filled with flames and hot lava. That's where the fire giants live, as well as the fire demons. Surtur, the giant, is its ruler, and he's a sworn enemy of the Aesir. Asgard, home of the gods, is in the middle of the world, high in the sky. Men gods in Asgard are named Aesir, and female goddesses are named Asinjur. Odin rules Asgard and the Aesir. Inside of Asgard is Valhalla, where half of the warriors that have died in battle go to. The other half goes to Folkvanger. Midgard, home of the humans, translates to Middle-earth, and it is, would you believe it, in the middle of the earth, below Asgard. Midgard and Asgard are connected with Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge. Midgard is surrounded with a huge ocean that is impossible to cross. Jotunheim, home of the giants, is mostly made of rocks and dense forests. That's where the giants live, and they are the enemy of the Aesir. Also, you can find the fortress named Utgard there. It is so tall that you can't see the top of it unless you have a jetpack or something. Vanaheim is home of the Vanir. Nobody knows where it is or how it looks like. The Vanir who live there are the masters of sorcery and magic. They can see the future. Alfheim is home of the Light Elves. It is situated next to Asgard. Light Elves are considered sort of guardian angels. Svartalfheim is home of the Dwarves. The Dwarves live under the rock, in caves and underground. The king of Svartalfheim is Hreidmar. Dwarves are masters of craftsmanship, and they've built stuff like Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, Odin's spear. Helheim is home of the dishonorable dead. That's where all the dead thieves, murderers, and others for whom gods think that aren't brave enough to go to Valhalla or Folkvanger end up. It is ruled by goddess Hel. Do I still have to talk about the mythology? They said I do. Let's talk about Ragnarok then. Since Loki is responsible for Baldur's murder, the gods have decided to punish him. Loki escaped to a cave and transformed into a fish. Gods still ended up capturing him because they're like smart and stuff. They have killed Loki's son Nari and tied Loki to a rock using Nari's intestines. They've hung a snake above him so that its venom would drip into Loki's face. Loki's wife Sigyn stayed with him and held a wooden bowl below the snake so that the poison wouldn't drip all over Loki. However, when she would go to empty the bowl, a few drops would drip on his face. Ragnarok starts when there are 3 long winters in a row. The men become hungry and angry and kill each other. Then wolves Skoll and Hati come out and eat the sun and the moon. After that, the earthquakes destroy everything and free Loki and his son Fenrir the wolf. Loki assembles an army of giants and fighters from Valhalla. He marches with his army and Surtur the giant, who's carrying a flaming sword, into Asgard. As they walk on the Rainbow Bridge, it collapses after them. Heimdall sees that Loki is coming with his army, so the gods prepare for a battle. The gods are joined by Einherjar, who are 800 of the most honorable dead warriors from Valhalla. They fight on a field named Vigridir. Tyr and Garm, the wolf, kill each other. Thor kills Jormungand, but also dies. Loki and Heimdall manage to kill each other as well. Fenrir kills Odin, and Vidar kills Fenrir with his, wait for it, big magic shoe, which is made from the scraps of all the shoes ever. Surtur kills Freyr and sticks his flaming sword in the ground and sets everything on fire. Everything that has ever lived dies. Earth sinks into the sea. However, from the sea, a new land arises. It turns out that not all the gods are dead. The survivors are Odin's sons, Vidar, Vali, Hoder, and Balder, and Thor's sons, Modi and Manji. The survivors gather, sit down, and tell their tales. Thanks for watching. Here's the subscribe button. Please click it. Press like and share if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more of our content.